And the standard deviation of the entire portfolio is 4.48. That's lower. And then we can calculate the CV, which is a coefficient of variation, and that combines both risk and return. In particular, we use the standard deviation divided by the expected return. Okay, and that's a 4.28. Okay, and then I just drag it to the right. And if you get some crazily large numbers, that's probably, I mean, like this, all the pound keys, all you need to do is to shrink it by clicking on the button for decrease decimal, okay, to make it look shorter. And from the CV, you can see that the portfolio has the lowest CV compared to either of the two stocks. So that means when you form a portfolio, the risk return is in a better combination than investing in the stock of Amazon or stock of Microsoft individually. And here we know that the portfolio is definitely better than each of the individual stock, but we're not sure if this 2.9 CV is the lowest we can get. In other words, we're not sure the 50-50% portfolio is the best combination for weights. All right, so that's where the third step kicks in. Use the solver function to change the weights to optimum. So how do we define a optimized portfolio? We want the CV, okay? We want this guy, let me highlight, to be as low as possible. And how could we change the CV? There's nothing we can do to the expected return of the portfolio or the standard deviation, okay? But we can always do to change the weights of each individual stock. Okay, so that means I'm going to change the weights of Amazon and Microsoft. Maybe it's best for me to hide some of the columns in the middle. So let me try to do this. I'm going to hide some data, okay, from this fourth row all the way to the 33rd row, okay? And then you should be familiar with this. I use data and group, okay? Just hit this button, group. Then I have two layers of Outlook. If I click on this button, number one, it gives me a brief view, okay? It gives me a brief view, okay? If I hit on number two, it tells me everything, all the data will show. Okay, so for now, I want to show you a brief view. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm trying to minimize the portfolio CV, okay, by adjusting the stocks weights of Amazon and Microsoft. So right now, let me do this. Change the 50% of Amazon weights to 40%. Okay, wow, you can see that the CV is reduced to 2.83 from 2.0. Okay, and there's a problem you probably noticed that the weight of Microsoft is still 50%, and the two add up to 90%, which is not 100% of my entire investments. Okay, and if I change to 60% right here, you see it also doesn't add up to 100. So all I need to do here, okay, is to replace the Microsoft's weights with a formula instead of just a number of 50%. So this is what I do to start a formula. Equal 1 minus whatever the weight of Amazon is. Okay? Excuse me. If I use 40% for Amazon, then Microsoft weight is changed to 60%. If I do 30% for Amazon, it's changed to 70%. Okay. And now let's minimize the portfolio. Okay. So what I do is the instruction tells you to use a solver function. Okay, to use a solver function in Excel to change the weights to optimum. And how do you install solver function? I want you to hit File button. It's right here. Okay, and then I want you to hit Options. All right, hit Options, File, Options, and then you will see all these selections. I want you guys to hit Add-ins. Okay, Add-ins. All right, You click on add-ins, and you will see a lot of things right here. You ignore them and see all the way down to see the manage combo box, and click on this button, go. And then this box will pop up. And I want you guys to make sure solver add-in is selected. Not all the other three, but solver add-in. Okay, do you see this? Make sure it's checked. And then hit OK. And how can you find solver? You gotta look for solver. It's right here under the data tab. Okay, and you will see solver is right here. It's one of the analyze package tools. Okay, and so right now, let me recoup what I had before. Shrink the view, okay, to see only this area, to see the weights of the stocks and the CV of the portfolio altogether, and recover my original setting to equal weights, 50-50%. And here, I start using solver. I click on solver. As you can see, the box shows me what am I going to set my objective. So my objective is going to minimize the portfolio CV. Okay, so my objective is this cell. Okay, is this a 2.9, the portfolio CV. And then, am I going to maximize it, minimize it, or set to a certain value like a 2? So the best thing we're doing, we can do here is to minimize it. Okay, let's try to minimize the portfolio CV. And then that's not it. Okay, we need to do something in order to have a minimized CV. So what can we do? Once again, we cannot change the returns of the stocks. We cannot change their risk characteristics. The returns and the risks are determined by the entire market, not by a single portfolio manager like us. So all we could do here is to change the weights of the two stocks in my portfolio. Okay, and I can only change one weight. Okay, so my constraints, I need to add a constraint here is I want this weights. Okay, I want to by changing one weight, which is the weights of Amazon, and that's it. Okay, I need to make them make the changing variable cell Amazon. So basically, the Excel will use its computer power to plug it in as many numbers as possible, from 1%, 2%, of all the way to 99% for weight of Amazon right here, and try out all the different output for the portfolio CV and pick the one that yield the lowest CV for the portfolio. Okay, and you don't need to add a constraint here. I thought we could make the constraint all positive, but here you can click on this check mark and make unconstrained variables non-negative. All right, and basically that's it. The first thing you need to do is to minimize the CV of the portfolio. It's right here. You click on it. And second is you are going to change weight of Amazon only. Okay, that's the only variable you want to change, because weight of Microsoft is derived from the weight of Amazon. It is 1 minus the weight of Amazon. So you don't need to put this cell into your changing variable cells. And then all you need to do is to hit solve. That's it. You keep solver solution, you hit OK. So right here, you have a even lower, and that's actually the most possible lowest CV you could ever get, 2.8 for the portfolio. And how do you get 2.8 lowest portfolio CV? By getting by assigning 37% of your assets of your money to Amazon, and the rest is 63% to Microsoft. So you are done. And if you look at the number here, it's not just a 37. If you check the formula bar, it's a 36.56839241%. Okay, it's a very exact number. So you can see the power of the computer. Okay, and that's basically concludes your Excel project 3. So all we need here is to get the returns of the two stocks. Okay, and make sure you have the number of returns, which is the number of prices minus 1. And you do for the portfolio as a startup, you start with the 50% weight, and then you calculate the expected return for the portfolio, the standard deviation portfolio, and the CV of the portfolio, and then you use the solver function to get the weights of Amazon, and make sure the weight of Microsoft is 1 minus the weight of Amazon instead of another 50% number you put in there.